John, give us some names of some guys you're kind of keeping an eye out for that they might potentially be interested in the upper end of the draft. I know you're an Ohio State guy.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And I love that receiver you guys have at Ohio State.
Luka.
Yeah, just see clips. I mean, it's not like I watch them every week. But are there some names of some guys potentially that you're kind of keeping an eye on that might be available at 29?
I think, to be honest, I'm looking more at free agents right now than the draft.
Okay.
And so I think I'd look at – and it's so hard at that. So, you start to look at that, and it's so far to me in the future because free agency is so dominant before then. Mm-hmm. And then it's like then we'll know more. Like, you can look at cornerbacks right now because it's a good corner class too. But what if they sign somebody in free agency? Well, then that knocks that off, right? What could be there are good edge rushers at 29 potentially. What then it's like what happens in free agency? So I'm not trying to back out of it, but that's how I kind of look at it. But there are they're good running backs. Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson. Would one of those guys be at 1 or 29? I think. You could probably wait a little bit if you wanted to at that position because it's very deep. So I'm looking more positionally, and the other thing is like, what if Josh Simmons from Ohio State tackle, really good, coming off an injury, I don't think he'd fall that far, but what if he does, or what if a guy Kelvin Banks is there from Texas like that? Would you look at that? Like those are guys that I am watching for sure. And Buka's another, you brought him up, and he'd be an excellent slot receiver for them. Size, he fits exactly the kind of player/person they want as well. Mm-hmm. So I think you do look at those, but again, there are a handful of corners in there that I think will be interesting to watch. And as we get closer, can get more into that. But again, I want to see free agency first to see what areas might they target. And Having said that, like if you sign a corner in free agency, but you have a corner sitting right there at 29
that you love,
he's the best, and you love, you got to take him. You know what I mean? Like the way you become a good team is by drafting good players.
Do you think Marshon Lattimore has a better year next year?
I don't know. I think
because Bickle's out on him.
I'm out.
I'm not out on him yet.
I'm out. I think he's damaged.
I'm going to give him a full season camp, and then hopefully he turns into what he was, 3 years ago.
100 years ago. Okay, sure.
I would say this in talking to. There are some people I've talked to in the league are skeptical that what he can get back to because the injuries just add up. What I don't know is what was the impact, on him. Just with all those injuries in his play, because he had a couple of games where he was very quiet, which was really good as a corner. Mm-hmm. But then against the top guys, it wasn't good. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I think, I always kind of like to give not the benefit of the doubt, but just to see what does it look like next summer? Does it look better? And I know like that's how they're viewing it. I know because Adam Peters has said that. So I'm not going to write anybody off, but I will say, like, I think he's going to have to show that
he's got a lot of
better,
work.
and that it was just about because when you're watching them turn and run against like AJ Brown or someone like that, you see it and it's like that's not the turn that he would have had, X years ago, right? But is that because he's still working his way back from the hamstring? Not that it was injured, but that there's when you miss that much time, are you coming and you're facing an elite receiver, what's the impact on your play? And that's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just getting to the free agents here quickly before we let you go. We've talked a lot about the Eagles' three defensive guys that are right there at the top of the list of some people. How about just plucking two of them just for the sake of plucking them?
The hard part for like a Josh Sweat, I mean, he had a good year and he's a good player. I think what some people would quite wonder is like, what's the impact? First of all, and I'm going to say he's going to get overpaid. Every free agent does, right? That's basically what free agency is. But to what degree is he worth that? What you're going to have to pay him is the impact worth it? And I think that's what the question would be. I don't know that. He would certainly fill a hole, but what level is he really at? And Milton Williams is a guy like I think he's going to get paid. I don't know that Zach Bond. I think the Eagles will keep him. I can't imagine they let him go. He was very important to them. But they, I think with Sweat and Williams, they have more depth inside that they can let him go or let him walk. I don't know that I see those at this point. I mean, we keep hearing from them that, and I think Adam Peters said, but they will be active because they have so many guys to resign. I don't know. What you keep hearing is like the Luvu Biadish types, right? Guys who are, in that 26, 27 range, just starting to enter their prime and are ascending. And also not breaking the bank either. So I don't know that I see those at this point. And I think we'll know a little bit more after this week, after people get back from the combine, you start to hear more rumors or whatever. But it doesn't seem to fit what they want to do. And I think the other thing is, though, goes back to with John Allen freeing up more cap space to do some moves that maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise. And that could include maybe a trade for one of those receivers like a Cooper Kupp or a Debo if that's what they wanted to do.